All right, let's jump right in. We're going to connect three things you might not think go together: space exploration, cryptocurrency, and your morning coffee. The question sounds almost ridiculously simple. How would you pay for a coffee on Mars? But the answer, well, it pretty much reveals the entire financial blueprint for humanity's future on another planet.
So just picture this. You've made it. The red Martian dust is settling around your boots after a journey of a lifetime. You step out and you're inside a bustling colony dome. You've actually done it.
And after months cooped up in a spaceship, what's the very first thing you're craving? A real, honest-to-goodness cup of coffee. So you head over to the Habitat Cafe, ready for that first glorious sip of an espresso. But then you go to pay, and you hit a wall. You pull out your trusty credit card, the one that works for everything back home, and nothing. The transaction fails. So what's going on here? Well, it all boils down to something we can call the 40-minute problem. And no, it's not a glitch with your card or the terminal. It's a problem with physics, with the sheer, mind-boggling distance between planets. Just think about this for a second. On average, it takes a signal traveling at the speed of light about 20 minutes to get from Mars to Earth. 20 minutes, and that's just one way. For your bank on Earth to approve the payment, that signal has to go all the way there and all the way back. I mean, the difference is just staggering. Here on Earth, you tap your card and what, 2 seconds later, it's approved. On Mars, that same tap kicks off a 40-minute round trip for the signal. 40! There's literally no payment system in the world designed to just wait that long. The request would just time out, and your coffee? It's getting cold. So the takeaway here is pretty simple. Earth's financial system is a no-go on Mars. It just can't work. Mars needs its very own system, something local, something independent. We need what you might call a Martian ledger. The technology for this would almost certainly be a Mars-side blockchain. And the absolute best way to think about it is as the colony's own financial nervous system. It processes and settles every payment right there on Mars, without having to phone home to Earth for every little purchase. So how would that actually work in practice? Well, you can think of it as a 3-step dance. First, you'd pay for that coffee with some kind of local crypto. Let's call them Mars bits for fun. Second, boom, your transaction gets verified almost instantly by computers or nodes right there in the colony. And third, and this part's really important, the entire Martian ledger syncs up with a parent chain back on Earth every so often just to keep everything legit and connected.
But listen, this is where the idea goes from being a neat sci-fi concept to something absolutely revolutionary. We're not just talking about buying coffee here. This kind of technology, it's the literal foundation for a brand new off-world economy.
Think about it. With a system like this, you can actually pay salaries to the geologists and engineers working on Mars. You could set up things like microinsurance policies that automatically pay out if a habitat panel gets dinged by a micrometeorite. You could even create complex interplanetary trade agreements, all of it executed through smart contracts that run locally, totally avoiding that killer 40-minute lag.
Now, obviously, building this from scratch is a huge undertaking. It's a true interplanetary frontier, and it brings up some really fascinating and incredibly difficult questions that have to be solved before anyone's ordering that first espresso.
For instance, who's in charge? Who gets to be the central bank of Mars? Who decides the monetary policy for these Mars bits? Is it some organization on Earth? A new Martian council? That's a massive political and economic question right there. And then you've got the technical hurdles. There's a big one called double spending. It's basically the risk that someone could spend the same digital money twice before the system catches on. Here on Earth, blockchains solve that in a heartbeat. But when you've got a 40-minute communication gap, yeah, that problem gets a whole lot trickier to crack.
And here's maybe the biggest question of all. What happens if the communication link to Earth just breaks, for a long time? Does the Martian economy just keep on trucking independently, or does the whole thing fall apart? The stakes couldn't be higher.
Because when you really get down to it, paying for that cup of coffee is the smallest thing, but it points to a much bigger truth. On the Red Planet, a self-sufficient digital currency isn't just a cool piece of tech or nice to have. It is an absolute necessity for humanity to truly become an interplanetary species.